I did talk with Vince a few times, and we were close to working something out on a few different occasions, but never did. Long story short, I just felt like I couldn't make the commitment that he was looking for at the time. So
WCW was forced to close its doors March 26, 2001, when it was brought out by Vince McMahon and the WWE. Nitro had been a huge success and had even rivaled WWE programming, defeating it in the ratings for 83 consecutive weeks. Nitro began all the way back in September of 1995, with the main event that evening being Sting vs Ric Flair. So what better way to close off the final Nitro ever on March 26, 2001, with the same two competitors going at it, Sting and Ric Flair once again. But this would be Sting's final match in WCW, a company that he had literally given his blood, sweat and tears to for well over a decade. So where would Sting turn next? What would be the Stinger's next move? Many WCW stars were content to just sit at home and let their contracts run out while still being paid. And some would go to WCW's rival company, the WWE. But would Sting do the same?
I always had this undercurrent of a suspicion or whatever. Just always had this feeling that Vince wanted me more to undermine WCW than he did as a talent. I think in the very beginning it wouldn't have been that way, but over the years I always got that feeling, and you know, I watched what happened with, you know, some of the guys when they came here, and I just never trusted it.
So very interesting listening to the Stinger there, how he said he just didn't trust the whole situation, how Vince McMahon may have been good to him at first, but over the years he just didn't trust how the WWE would treat him, and that they would possibly treat the Sting character bad just to undermine WCW. It is well documented in several interviews given by Sting that he had several talks with the WWE and Vince McMahon, and he was fairly close to signing. In fact, it was at the March 2002 pay-per-view, just 1 year after WCW had disbanded, that Sting was penciled in to face Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 18. Former WWE creative writer Dave Lagana stated that yes, indeed, there were plans for Sting to come to the WWE following their acquisition of WCW. He states, Sting was approached that year to make his WWE debut and wrestle on the big event. Once he was introduced to the brand, it was pitched that at WrestleMania 18, Sting would face Kurt Angle. If you remember, Kurt was eventually thrown into a match with Kane with little setup. The deal apparently fell apart as Sting wasn't willing to work the full WWE schedule.
There was rumors that have come out later, I didn't hear them at the time, but WrestleMania 18, that you were penciled in to wrestle Kurt Angle. That was 2002. So apparently your contract had just expired, and WWE wanted you to come in. Were you close at that time? Is there any credibility to that rumor?
Yeah, no, I remember talking with Vince around that time, and it seemed like, you know, with Vince on the phone with me, everything's great, but his attorney or WWE attorneys and my attorney, and now all of a sudden there's trouble. And
so fans never did get to see Sting in the WWE at that point in his career when he was in his prime. And in many ways it was a shame we never got to see Sting vs Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 18. That match would have to be saved for TNA years later. So should have Sting jumped to the WWE in 2002 when he had the chance? Imagine the dream matches you could have had. Sting vs The Rock, Sting vs Stone Cold Steve Austin, Sting vs Shawn Michaels, and of course that dream match we never did get to see in the end, Sting vs The Undertaker. But in the end it seems that Sting did just not fully trust how the WWE would treat his character Sting, a character that had taken him many years to build up. and something that the WWE could have just destroyed at the click of their fingers if they wanted to do that. Now, aside from that very real possibility of Sting joining the WWE for WrestleMania 18 in a match against Kurt Angle, the question was also put to Sting, why didn't he jump to the WWE immediately after WCW folded, just like other wrestlers DDP and Booker T had? And why was he not a part of the whole invasion angle that took place in 2001? Well, as you will hear from Sting here, he was still on contract with WCW right up until the end of 2001. But it was right at the start of 2002 where that WCW contract would expire and he would become a free agent. And this is where those really serious talks with the WWE began concerning that match at WrestleMania 18. And as you will hear from Sting here at the end of this clip, he was close to signing with the WWE.
...2001 Invasion, why wasn't I a part of it? You know what, I had a contract that Time Warner and AOL still had control over, and although I didn't have any job duties to perform, nobody could assume the contract and the money that was owed to me by them, and so I remained, free agent or whatever you want to call it. I just didn't do anything for a while. I did talk with Vince a few times, and we were close to working something out on a few different occasions, but never did. Long story short, I just felt like I couldn't make the commitment that he was looking for at the time. So,
as we know, Sting debuted with TNA Total Nonstop Action Wrestling in June of 2003 and never looked back. Personally, I would have loved to have seen Sting join the WWE in 2002, even if he just stayed there for 1 year, maybe 2 years max, and we could have just got some of those really cool dream matches. As we all know, Sting eventually did come to the WWE in 2014, but he only had the two high-profile pay-per-view matches, of course against Triple H at WrestleMania 31 and against Seth Rollins at Night of Champions, both matches which he lost, and the latter at Night of Champions ended tragically for Sting, and that would be the final time we would see him in the squared circle. He did do some cool stuff in the WWE while he was there, did as much as he could and did as best as he could really. But if he had have come to the WWE back in that 2002-2003 era, that would have been something altogether different. And if handled the right way and respectfully by the WWE, could have been something really special for wrestling fans. So the Stinger, it was a close thing with him appearing at WrestleMania 18. He was penciled in to face Kurt Angle, but sadly, that never happened. In the end, Sting did what he thought was right for him and his career, so who can argue with that? Thanks heaps guys for tuning into the video. Be sure to drop a scorpion death drop on that like button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome pro wrestling action from the WWE, the WCW and much more.